Way back in 2015, the Chinese was focusing big time on increasing its naval prowess. Remember that as I speak today, the Chinese Navy is the biggest navy in the world in terms of platforms. Now, amid China focusing big on its naval prowess, the Indian Navy had in 2015 factored in a need for long range unmanned surveillance platforms to keep an almost 24/7 into 7 eye on the Indian Ocean region. While the DRDO was working on the unmanned systems, they were catering for the MALE, that is the medium altitude long range endurance system, while the Navy wanted the high altitude ones known as HALE. So the only option then was to procure from outside. Much to the disadvantage of the Indian military planners, there was no system available with anyone to meet such requirements except the Americans. But then the Obama administration had a freeze on non-treaty partners getting US made unmanned systems, and India is still not a treaty partner of the US. The US had used these drones extensively in multiple operations in various conflict theaters like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and including to take out high worth individuals like Al Qaeda leader Ayman al Zawahiri. And since these unmanned systems were almost exclusive American technology, Washington shied away from sharing it with other countries. But then came in China. As more and more countries focused on drone technology, China emerged as the world's biggest exporter of unmanned aerial vehicles, including the armed versions. Amid all of this, and the US seeing China as a future challenger of its, in 2016, Washington designated India as a major defense partner, as it was keen to develop a closer relationship. In 2017, when President Donald Trump came in, he offered to sell the surveillance version of the MQ-9B Sea Guardians to India, an offer that was music to the ears of the Indian Navy. India thus became the first non-treaty partner to be offered a MTCR Category 1 unmanned aerial systems, the Sea Guardians, that is manufactured by American firm General Atomics. The original plan was to acquire 22 of these drones for the Indian Navy. However, the Indian Army wanted a bite of the pie too. It was not interested in just surveillance version, but wanted the ones that the US used to take out several terrorists across the world. The drones came with 9 hard points capable of carrying sensors and laser guided bombs, besides air to ground missiles with a maximum payload of 2 tons. And that is what the Indian Army was interested in. The discussions carried on. Trump, who was keen on getting this mega deal through, decided in 2019 to sweeten the offer by sanctioning sale of the armed drones. And then smartly, India decided to do a tri-service procurement that would have reduced the overall cost and also ensured even distribution from the services budget. Since it had first created the proposal for the induction of the HALE drones that allows continuous surveillance of over 40 hours at altitudes of over 40,000 feet, the Navy was made the lead agency, even though this was a joint acquisition. But the cost was too much. The US was unwilling to share any technology or create any kind of infrastructure here. The negotiations for the drones, which then cost about $100 million apiece, dragged on. However, much to the Indian Navy's joy, an opportunity opened up 4 years ago when the new Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020 introduced that year allowed leasing of defense equipment. The Navy then immediately leased 2 Sea Guardians. Interestingly, even though the Navy operates these drones, they have been deployed along the western borders with Pakistan and the northern borders with China, depending on requirement of the other forces. The Sea Guardians can enable real-time search and patrol above and below the ocean surface. Due to its open architecture system, the Sea Guardians operators can integrate sonobuoy management and control systems and sonobuoy dispenser systems that help in tracking submarines. The erstwhile Trump administration had expected the deal for 30 armed drones to be announced at the 2+2 ministerial dialogue in New Delhi on 27 October 2020. However, India did not succumb to the hard American push to seal the deal then. India was looking at a Make in India component and wanted the US to set up MRO facility here. While the Army and the Navy were fully on board for the deal, the Indian Air Force was not initially. The IAF's fear was that too much has been spent on the drones, which will take away their funding and the government's focus from the main requirement, fighter planes. However, finally in 2021, the three services came together and decided to procure the system. It was in February this year that the US government approved the sale of 31 MQ-9B and related equipment to India for an estimated cost of USD 3.99 billion and notified the Congress. This follows a series of steps that India had taken. The deal also includes the purchase of 170 AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, 31 GBU-39 glide bombs, navigation systems, sensor suites, mobile ground control systems, and future integration of Indian weapon systems. Also, that is the anti-ship missiles. The deal also says that by value, 30% of the subcomponents will be sourced from Indian companies, though there will be no technology of transfer under the agreement. The Indian Navy will get 15 MQ-9B drones in maritime and anti-submarine warfare kits, while the Army and the Indian Air Force will get each of its land version. The Defence Ministry has also signed another contract with General Atomics Global India Private Limited for performance-based logistics for these RPAs through depot-level maintenance, repair and overhaul in India. For The Print, this is Snehesh Alex Philip. Do subscribe to The Print's YouTube channel for more such videos.